Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tearing down some brand new 2026 data from Inc. 42. The engineering team over at Xenotix Labs analyzed this, and we're going to reveal what it actually takes to build a venture-scale fundable startup right now. We're skipping the buzzwords, guys. We're looking straight at the architecture.
So it's the million-dollar, or, really the multi-million-dollar question. What actually gets funded in 2026? Look, if you're building a startup based on the rules from 2022 or even 2024, you're already behind. The answer has drastically changed, and the data absolutely proves it.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're covering the 2026 funding reality, tech trends driving success, the modern tech stack, timelines and development costs, passing the investor test, and finally, your technical action plan.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the 2026 funding reality. Okay, let's dive into this. Think back to the outdated 2022 playbook. It was all pure growth plays, getting massive user acquisition at basically any cost, and rolling out basic CRUD applications. Simple apps that just create, read, update, and delete data. Well, that era is completely dead. Today's harsh reality? It demands revenue generation, a clear path to profitability, and absolutely crucial, defensible technical moats. Proving you can execute technically isn't just a nice milestone anymore. It's literally the prerequisite just to get a meeting, let alone a check. So, building a simple delivery app just isn't going to cut it anymore. Your architecture is your moat. We're talking about complex architecture and deep business logic that your competitors can't just easily copy when things scale up. Let's look at Xenotix Labs' project Veda Milk. It's a direct-to-consumer dairy platform. I mean, anyone can build a delivery tracker, right? But Veda Milk's actual moat is its subscription engine. It handles daily recurring orders, complex pause logic, and real-time route optimization for over 50 delivery riders simultaneously. It might look super simple to the user on the surface, but underneath, that intense architectural complexity is exactly why competitors hit a wall when they try to scale.
Moving right along to Section 2, tech trends driving success.
All right, trend number 1 is AI integration that actually matters. Look, everyone and their mother says they have AI right now, but a basic API wrapper just won't cut it. Take a look at this multi-pass workflow from CorporateGate, which is an AI resume builder. Step 1, it extracts the skills. Step 2, it meticulously matches them to the target job description. Step 3, it rewrites the entire resume using GPT-4, but with highly specific industry language. Xenotix Labs reported they spent 60% of their development time just on prompt engineering and output validation. Successful AI is a complex technical marathon, guys. It's definitely not a quick copy-paste job.
The next absolutely critical trend is real-time architecture at scale. During the 2026 IPL, an app called Cricket Winner had to handle over 50,000 concurrent WebSocket connections. Think about that volume. They literally had to rip out off-the-shelf solutions like Socket.io and rewrite the entire layer using a raw WS library. Why? Because those standard tools would just completely choke and fail during the connection churn of a massive boundary celebration. Investors are specifically hunting for startups that have already solved these massive scaling challenges. They're not looking for founders who just cross their fingers and promise they'll figure it out later.
Then we have offline-first design. And in markets like India, this is absolutely not optional. Take the insurance inspection app Claims Mitra. It requires field agents to survey damaged vehicles in absolute dead zones. We're talking zero internet connectivity. So what's the solution? They built a complex local SQLIQ that saves all the data offline and automatically syncs it the second connectivity returns. It even has built-in conflict resolution for parallel edits. Now, building this out takes about 40% more development time, sure, but it creates a massive competitive advantage simply because most teams out there are way too lazy to put in that kind of effort.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this staggering number right here, 2 million rupees. That is exactly how much revenue the stock market app SNS Gyan lost in a single month. And you want to know why? Because their payment webhook handler wasn't idempotent. Okay, if you don't know, an idempotent webhook just means that if a payment processor sends the exact same success signal, like 5 times because of some random network glitch, your system only counts it once. Underestimating payment complexity, it isn't just annoying technical debt, it literally bleeds your revenue dry. And finally, rounding out the tech trends, we're seeing the massive rise of on-device AI for emerging markets. If you're targeting the Bharat market, you aren't dealing with gigabit speeds. You are dealing with 8,000 rupee smartphones and super spotty 4G. Look at a project called 7S Samiti. It's an offline AI tutor. And they actually managed to compress a 500 megabyte AI model all the way down to just 45 megabytes using a technique called quantization. It runs entirely offline via TensorFlow Lite. This is a huge, largely untapped venture opportunity that all these metropolitan-focused startups are completely ignoring.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. Section 3, the modern tech stack. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact modern startup tech stack you need to scale efficiently. This has been refined over 33 shipped products by the team at Xenotix Labs. On the front end, Flutter totally dominates for mobile efficiency, while Next.js is your absolute go-to for web performance. Over on the back end, you've got Node.js paired with PostgreSQL for your rock-solid transactional data and Redis for that rapid caching. Now really notice the real-time layer here. We're talking custom WebSockets using raw WS for actual scale, not just those basic prototyping tools. And for AI integration, it's a strategic mix of the GPT-4 API for the heavy-lifting language processing and TensorFlow Lite for on-device machine learning. I'll be honest, if your stack looks drastically different from this today, you're going to need a really good technical justification when you're sitting in front of investors.
Okay, moving to Section 4, timelines and development costs.
Let's just break down the hard truth about development timelines. You're going to need 4 to 6 months just for core feature development alone. But, and this is a huge but, that is not when you launch. No way! You need 2 to 3 additional months exclusively dedicated to scale optimization. Load testing before launch? It is mandatory. If you skip it, your servers will literally melt the second actual users show up. And to execute this whole shebang, you need a seriously balanced team. 2 front-end devs, 1 back-end, sure. But you also absolutely need a dedicated DevOps person, an AI specialist, and someone constantly on UI/UX design.
You also really need to budget for success. AWS infrastructure for a startup at this stage is typically going to run you between 15,000 and 50,000 rupees every single month. But you've got to watch out for the massive variables. Remember Cricket Winner? When they hit scale, their AWS bill jumped 400% in a single month entirely because of WebSocket demands. And GPT-4 API costs? Those can absolutely explode the moment user adoption ticks up. You have to carefully model these variables into your financial projections from day one.
Which brings us to Section 5, passing the investor test.
So, the crucial point here is this simple phrase. Architecture is strategy. Your technical decisions aren't just, back-office IT choices anymore. They are the undeniable proof that you can execute at venture scale, way before an investor even has to ask you about it. Your architecture actively demonstrates your understanding of the business mechanics, the hard market constraints, and the brutal reality of scaling. In 2026, VCs are coming to the table asking really hard technical questions. They're going to ask about your database architecture. What's your indexing strategy like? How exactly do you handle disaster recovery? They're going to heavily scrutinize your security. Are you using JWT authentication? Have you actually done any penetration testing? They'll want to see your monitoring setup. Are you using something like Sentry to catch errors before your users start complaining on Twitter? And they'll definitely check your API design. Is it actually RESTful? Is it versioned and rate limited? Listen to me, security and monitoring are not premium nice-to-have features anymore. They are the absolute baseline foundation that proves to an investor that your whole platform isn't going to just collapse under pressure.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, your technical action plan. Let's move to and see how this builds out into an exact chronological playbook for your startup. First up, weeks 1 and 2 must be dedicated purely to architecture design and technology selection. Seriously, do not write a single line of UI code yet. Weeks 3 and 4, that's for setting up your infrastructure, your CI/CD pipelines, and getting those security frameworks in place. Then, months 2 through 4 are where you finally get to build out the core features, making sure to bake in real-time and AI capabilities right from day 1. And finally, months 4 to 6 are strictly for rigorous load testing and security auditing. This is exactly how you execute better.
I want to leave you today with this final, really provocative question. Take a hard look at your current roadmap. Are you just building basic features, or are you meticulously building architecture that scales? Because in 2026, I promise you, only one of those is getting funded. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.